You named this crying room.
I did. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Crying is a Free Action, a podcast about news and politics in our respective home states, around the United States, and around the globe. It's called Crying is a Free Action because in Dungeons and Dragons, you get many types of actions: a move action, an attack action, free actions. Free actions are usually the yellow warning to an ally or taunt an opponent. We, however, want to remind everybody that crying is indeed a free action. You can do it while you're washing dishes or while working your second job. I like to do it right after a customer tells me something transphobic,
I like to do it before I go into work.
and they can't take that away from you. We also talk about video games and some traditional games in the second half of the podcast, but we break it into two parts so you can watch what's relevant to you. I'm Justin. I'm here with my good friend Al. So let's get this shit show started. So the first news story tonight out of North Dakota is a Fargo lawmaker has already called for the United States or the North Dakota House and Senate to do hearings on the impact of the federal funding cuts. And I think this is incredibly important because what is happening right now is Donald Trump is in office and he is in a lot of cases illegally cutting funding, having Elon Musk cut funding, fire workers, things of that nature, and that affects every state because the federal government is in every state. So once a lot of this money just gets turned off, a lot of these programs just get turned off. A lot of programs that people use every day. So this is an important thing to think about like what's happening in my area and what could be affected by what these cuts are. And so a big one for North Dakota that we've already seen is the cut to USAID. And in USAID, because what they would do if farmers had excess crops that they couldn't sell nationally, because farmers make more food and resources in the United States than we have people who need it. So a lot of it gets exported, and in some cases, the federal government will buy up crops at market rates from United States farmers and then send them overseas as a goodwill gesture or sell them at a reduced rate to recoup some money. But we've already lost something in like $2.4 million in that North Dakota directly toward North Dakota farmers. So we have lawmakers now, and it's really funny because this guy's a Democrat. I don't think that matters in the case of government oversight. We both
It
agree.
shouldn't.
No, we both agree that like government efficiency is a good thing, but um, it's
It's the way
really
that it's
funny.
being gone about it.
Yeah, I want to find the quote from his. Um, okay, here's a couple of quotes. So we're hearing from our citizens. We're hearing from our nursing homes. We're hearing from people on Medicaid. We're hearing from our farmers, said Senator Tim Mathern, a Democrat. And they want to know what I know. And I don't know what all is happening. And that's a good way of putting it because there could be new tariffs tomorrow. And that is literally just like more money out of your pocket. It could be literally anything. They literally can just decide to be like, nah, that's more expensive. Um, so his co-worker at the legislature, who is the head of the appropriations committee, and the appropriations committee is the one that's the committee that decides where the money goes to. Like they get the tax dollars, they decide where it goes to. So this guy's the head of that, and he said it would be a little difficult to bring in every agency and have every agency give us their views when most of us don't know what's going on in Washington D.C. right now. Um, One thing we're always concerned about is when federal funding goes away. It's expected that state funding picks up the difference or replaces the federal funding. Um, this is Don
That's
Vagesa. And he goes, and that's something we never want to see happen because that could really get us down a path that would be unsustainable for us as a state to fund the federal programs. No shit.
yeah. That's. I mean, that's what they want to happen. That way, they can just say that. Oh, look, the government isn't working.
Mm-hmm. And then they want to replace it with private firms and things of that nature. We see the exact same
Yeah,
thing happening.
privatize everything.
We see the exact same thing happening with the Postal Service. Um, so we're going to talk about this a little more later. And no matter what side of the fence or political spectrum you fall on, like government transparency and accountability are important. And it's really important for you to be educated. And so a little later in the show, we're going to show people how to find um, their their local representatives and things of that nature. Um, in North Dakota, I know it by pretty easily, but there's good resources out there. And so I think everybody needs to contact their local representatives and say, what are we losing from all these federal cuts? That's all you got to ask. And if you're not satisfied with the answer, just ask some follow-up questions. And if you know something that's lost, or if you know somebody who already lost their job, let them know. Let them know how unhappy you are. Alrighty, so our next story then is... Oh, I love this one. Poll. Voters say legislators whiffed on rejecting free school meals. So I'm a big proponent of free school lunches and even school breakfasts for any kid who attends public school. And apparently so is everybody else, because this was a poll done in North Dakota of 500 Republicans, and 66% said that the legislators made the wrong decision. And I think that's really funny, because this is just showing how out of touch our politicians really are when they say they want to protect kids and do this sort of thing. So, do you have anything to add to that, Al?
Not particularly. I mean, you hit it, you hit the nail on the head, because they want to talk about protecting kids, and they want to talk about enabling life or whatnot. But at the end of the day, once the baby's out of the womb, they don't really care.
Mm-hmm. And one of the other things that I'd like the residents of North Dakota to know about is we have a legacy fund as part of it. It's a big fund where we get a lot of things from, but it's profits made from state ventures, oil taxes, all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of money in it, billions of dollars. And the problem is like they're not really doing anything with the money right now. They're kind of just sitting on it. And the idea was to take school lunches out of that, and it would have been a fraction of it. It would have been a small part of it, and it was a 75-14 defeat. Only 14 people voted in favor of it. That's really sad. So I think this is something that's going to come back and come around to. Like in Minnesota, they passed it a couple of years ago. I should look at how it works in Montana. I know South Dakota doesn't have it. We'll talk about them in just a second. But let's go into... Speaking of South Dakota, that's our next story. So speaking of people who have lost their jobs because of cuts from the so-called DOGE, we have the story of... what was her name again? I have it right here. Angela Watts. Miss Watts is a curator of a small museum of Native American arts and crafts. And her goal, and the department that she works for in the federal government, their goal is to preserve and encourage Native American art. And so, because it was 2 months into her career, she was a probationary employee, so they fired her. And I don't think this is the sort of department that's going to receive funding and employees again.
Not at all.
So this is just another one of these. It wouldn't matter if she was probationary or not. They would have looked at it and went, "That's DEI, get it out of here." And it really sucks, because in North Dakota, we have a huge... North Dakota, South Dakota, Canada, all over the Midwest, obviously. We have a huge Native American population. And it's really cool to see, their culture and stuff, especially considering what we did to them as a culture. But at least preserving what little they have left is the least we can do. So it's just really sad to see that, maybe more under this administration, at least, more Native Americans won't be encouraged to do art, and the preservation of said art is going to be lessened. But if you're not white, it ain't right. All right, so the next one, this one kind of boils my blood as well. Um, so there's public broadcasting service, PBS is how you're probably familiar with it. Um, they have local chapters in pretty much every state, and right now in North Dakota, it's publicly funded by people who donate money and time for events and things, as well as state funded, and that is the case in pretty much every state that has it. Um, right now in North Dakota, the Republican House is trying to defund that, and their reason being is they bought a bar for the purposes of charitable gambling, so they don't need that money. and the idea of, like, just because we've got more money coming in doesn't mean we don't need what we had, is exactly the take on what Republicans think efficiency is. So I'm really upset about this because Prairie Public Radio has been a big part of my life since I was a kid. It's always kind of been the North Dakota NPR, the real monotone, and we're here at 3 p.m. and here are the news and weather stories. So that was the NPR of North Dakota, and of course that's why they want to defund it, because it's PBS, it's woke. Everything's woke. We have a really fun story later about woke. I can't wait for that one. It's kind of been a slow-ish news week as far as like North Dakota goes, which is a good thing. I actually have some good news out of Montana, so
That's surprising.
I know. I'm excited. But North Dakota, we're kind of belaboring the point, but kids are legally required to be in school. We might as well feed them while they're there. I don't see that as controversial.
It shouldn't be.
Alrighty, so that's the North Dakota news. I don't really have anything else. We'll cover the Montana stuff in the national news a little bit. But let's get into some North Carolina news that I pulled up.
Yeah, I dropped the ball this time.
That's okay. It was a joint ball drop. So I was reading about this gentleman, Steve Troxler, who is the head of the Department of Agriculture down there. And the headline is, North Carolina is the #1 state at risk for wildfires, which was news to me. So I'm glad I got to read this. And the argument he's trying to make here is that they want to do more controlled burns. And I was hoping you could tell me a little bit about the current wildfire situation there.
As far as I'm aware, we had a wildfire out west in the Pisgah National Forest area. I don't remember exactly how many acres it burned, but from what I hear, it's been contained.
That's good.
But in South Carolina, I don't know if they contained that one. Actually, I woke up this morning and there was a lot of residue on my car and my, our vehicles essentially, and that's, we figured out that it was ash that came from South Carolina.
Yeah, that's crazy scary. So what he's trying to be a proponent of here is, so what they would do is controlled burns. And if you don't know this, I don't have time to give you the exact science lesson on this. You can look it up. There are a million great YouTube videos. But there are supposed to be wildfires. It is part of the natural cycle of nature. There has to be death so there can be rebirth, kind of thing. And so it's the idea isn't that there are never going to be wildfires, because that's impossible. There are lightning strikes, and people just cannot help themselves with their gender reveal parties and whatever they keep causing wildfires with. But
You know, off topic, but on topic.
mhm,
I think if memory serves, that the South Carolina wildfire started by some lady in her backyard burning things with no water and no real anything else, and she was alone.
that's brutal.
Yep.
Yep, you shouldn't do that. Right there. That's well, okay. So what? She was trying to do her own controlled burn.
Mm-hmm.
No, so basically they would take pieces of land and so they've done this before in North Carolina and it worked. And these
Yeah,
wild
no. Controlled burns have been a normal part of, I guess, the process of maintaining places around here. They used to even do it on base when I was active duty. So what they do is they'll burn certain parts of the woods, and they do that so that all your dead brush gets consumed. That way, there's no kindling essentially for another fire to start.
exactly. And so the main takeaway from this is that the amount of damage caused by the hang on, I'll look at they had a name for the wildfire which was sad, but oh, it was all of 2024. So in all of 2024, there was over 5 billion in damage and loss in North Carolina. And so they think that they can reduce the amount of wildfires drastically by only having to spend $7.5 million on doing more controlled burns. And so they've kind of covered everything because it's like, what if it's on private land and not public land? No, they reimburse the people who own the land, and it's way cheaper to just like bring a real crew in who knows what they're doing and take care of it and then get it all done and pay the guy than it would be to try to fix up an entire property later after a natural one. So yes, so they did controlled burns. They did 170 controlled burns on more than 8,000 acres. 77% of them were on 100 acres or less, and the reimbursement cost was only $190,419. So that seems like a pretty cost-effective way to prevent wildfires. So I really hope
Lot
that they,
lot better than waiting for a town to burn.
yeah,
Sorry to cut you off.
no, I really hope this is something that they can get bipartisan support for there. Something I don't have bipartisan support for. Your Senate approved a border bill enabling citizens to go after sanctuary cities. Uh,
I don't know what that means. I'm gonna be honest with
that's
you.
fair. Okay. So this is a weird one. That's why I picked it. Do you know what a sanctuary city is?
I know what a sanctuary city is
Okay.
supposed to be, but I don't know what that means by enabling citizens to go after it. Why? Like, so are people gonna be able to just show up and just start shooting people, or what?
Yeah, so no, obviously, I know that is not what it is, but it's essentially a way for if you're a little Joe Blow guy out in the middle of nowhere in a little rural town and you think your local sheriff is being too nice to immigrants, you can report him to the federal government and have his funding pulled. That's essentially what it is. Any department or any time you think um, somebody thinks that a sanctuary city activity is going on, they get to report it now. So if you
That's
don't know what
crazy.
a sanctuary city is, uh, I don't want to explain all the law enforcement stuff, but there's levels of law enforcement and where their jurisdiction is. Federal law enforcement, they work on federal crimes at the federal level. It's the FBI and Department of Justice, all those people. And there's state departments where a lot of the times the cases can line up. They can even be charged in both courts.
Mm-hmm.
So, but cops don't like like a cop that works at Fargo Police Department is not like actively out looking for like federal fugitives and things of that nature because
No, if they just happen to run into
right,
somebody,
yeah,
yeah,
then they'll
it's
enforce it.
different.
And
Right.
so the same thing kind of goes with like immigration and things of that nature. Like that's ICE's job. They go after illegal immigrants and whatever other things they get told to do now, I suppose. But like city cops, they can still run into illegal immigrants. As you know, if they get arrested and that sort of thing, they can get the deportation process started. And so what happens in a sanctuary city then is usually the mayor or the city council, by usually by popular vote or what they campaigned on, is that the directive to law enforcement officers in those cities is to not do that as much. Like obviously, if there are crimes being committed, they don't just like, oh, you're an immigrant and you murdered somebody, goodbye. No, like it's that, oh, you're on a traffic stop and you happen to be a legal immigrant and you weren't doing anything else. You were just on your way to and from work. Well, you might get a ticket, but like we're not going to start the deportation process on you. That's basically what a sanctuary city is. And so there are also usually some public programs that teach people how to teach people their rights is what it really is. And
Right.
they don't like that. They don't like people knowing their rights because they want to control people. So this is just a slap back. It has no teeth. Like literally, it's such a like anti woke like we hate DEI. We stand for justice. Like immigrants are bad. I'm just so fucking tired of it. And um North Dakota has done this similar things and tried to pass similar things. So it's a thing everywhere, and like there's there's no there's no real like easy way to sugarcoat it. But if you look at where the sanctuary cities are, they're bigger, more prosperous, in more prosperous states. They
Yeah,
get
I think where I live, it's a sanctuary city.
Yeah, that's very cool actually. I like that. I like the idea of teaching people their rights. They're like you were in this country, you were born here, you earned them. They're your rights. But I get a lot of politicians don't want you to have them. So, what did that actually? No, that didn't work. Okay, there it goes. The next one do be. So this was another one that I was a little interested in because it still relates back to the wildfire stuff. And so I had to do a little looking on this one, but they're trying to like cut red tape is the we're going for government efficiency. And the goal
Yeah, that
here, go ahead.
to me that just sounds like they're just getting rid of whatever regulations they can
Yeah.
to make things easier for people to skirt
Yep.
around.
And so they're framing this, and it's kind of a gross thing because again they are having wildfires, and some are contained, some are not, and some are still in South Carolina and all over the place. And they're like, well, people want to start rebuilding, and we can't get any inspectors down here, and they wait for 3 days. I'm like, then you're gonna wait for 3 days, dog. Like these things existed for a reason. They nobody passed these arbitrarily. But the real goal here is that they want it so that big corporations can start skirting the rules because fortunately North Carolina is uh, we've talked about this a little bit, business friendly, quote unquote, mostly because of the lack of worker protections.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I
So
think that I think it's one of the highest rated for businesses, if not the highest rated, but it's like last in worker protections and last or I think it's like 42nd or something in education.
ooh,
Yeah, it's
North
pretty
Dakota's
bad.
probably not much better. One of these days I'll do a proper like deep dive on some demographics for stuff. So that's all I got for North Carolina news, unless you want to add anything else.
Um, so I did. I don't know if I sent you the link, but I did see basically a news report, an article about them wanting to put the North Carolina pension fund into crypto.
Oh my god. Why?
I don't know,
Oh my
man.
god.
They don't even understand how the internet works, and they want to put
What is like these are all people that are like, whoa, the blockchain. I thought we were doing crypto.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's
So, oh my god.
but that's the only other thing I can think of,
I
which
could
is
I could bitch about crypto for 2 hours. I'm not gonna lie.
let's not. It's just. I mean,
Oh,
it's
Melania Trump is getting her own crypto pump and dump scheme now too.
what do you mean she's had one?
Oh, this might be a new one then.
Oh,
This might be a new one.
maybe
Okay,
that's what we should do. Let's start our own coin.
our own pump and dump. I like it.
Yeah.
So this is gonna. I don't even know where to start on this story.
Oh
So
god.
yeah, okay. The first one I think I want to start with is the.
Let's start with how long that shit
Oh
was.
my god.
Holy
So
fucking.
the other thing I want to tell people is that this is not a State of the Union address. That's a different thing. This was an address to Congress. And usually they're quick and to the point. They're not televised. Typically, I think his first one was. This was also the longest one in history,
Mm-hmm.
and it seemed very Reiki. I didn't. I was like,
Very. It seemed very like personality culty.
very. So I want to go. So the first one I wanted to talk about on there was the claim that there was a 360-year-old person still on payroll for um
Social
for
Security.
Social Security. Yep. I I like who why do people believe this? I
Because
just
they
don't
don't
get
know any
it.
better. They it's just they think that just because what's his name is rich that he's automatically smart.
That guy, Twitter man?
Yeah,
Oh, I love Twitter
Twitter
man.
guy.
Twitter guy. You're right. He's not Twitter man. He's Twitter guy. Okay, let's see. Social Security database shows 3.5 million people from ages 140 to 149, and money is being paid to many of them. No, it's not. It's
No,
just not. The 300 there's a bracket. There is actually a bracket for people aged 360 to 369 years old, supposedly. But that's what Elon Musk put on Twitter.
hmm
So Donald Trump was literally just like, I don't know, give me the chat GTP of what Elon tweeted.
that's I mean it's just because Elon doesn't understand how Cobol works.
Yes. We found
So
hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud. They found less than 20 billion, and this so-called wall of receipts is riddled with errors.
yeah, they took down a bunch of that from their Doge website.
I think we talked about this on the very first practice one, but can you still publicly like edit their website?
I don't know. I haven't tried. I don't really want to,
I don't want to
go
give them any
into
traffic.
that.
Yeah,
No.
a private tab doesn't work for that, by the way.
Nope. Can
Let's
still see
see.
everything you're doing.
Oh yeah, I liked this one. $1.9 billion went to recently created Decarbonization of Homes Committee, which was headed up by Stacey Abrams. Um, she doesn't head up that. No, like a committee for what is the question? Because a committee in the Senate, a committee in the House, because she's not in either of those. She was a governor nominee and an activist. So I don't know where if she was getting 1.9 billion, was it billion? 1.9 billion dollars, you would never see me again.
Nope.
It actually goes as far. So this is actually again by the Public Broadcasting Service. Thank you, PBS, for your service. Um, there's actually no evidence that she received any grant money or obviously did not engage in any illegal behavior. Oh, here's the good one: immigration. So, over the past 4 years, this is what Trump said on TV. Over the past 4 years, 21 million people poured into the United States. Many of them were murderers, human traffickers, gang members, and other criminals from the streets of dangerous cities all throughout the world. Which one are you?
One of those Mexican countries.
Oh, nice. So, obviously, this is false. Um, the actual estimated number is 10.4 million of of, of immigrants who came into the country illegally. That also accounts for people who came here illegally but then stayed here by legal methods. So obviously, not all 10 million of them are even going to be criminals. Obviously,
No,
in
not
10
even.
million,
I mean,
yeah.
not even close.
No,
It's
I
just
mean, like, the problem is
a lot of
in
these.
10 million people, there are obviously going to be criminals.
Yeah, there's always going to be criminals, regardless of the population type.
Yeah, I
Just
used, when I was in law enforcement, people were like, I can't believe there are cops who commit crimes. I'm like, there are 3 million law enforcement officers in this country. There's going to be some shitheads in there.
hmm
Let's see. The economy,
Is it
tariffs.
great again?
So that's I want to talk about tariffs just for a second again, because let's not forget that a lot of the tariffs that we have in this country were put in place in Trump's first term, and then Biden did nothing about them, and they're still in place. So that's like the ones on steel, they never left. But the thing is, he blamed Joe Biden for the price of eggs again. Like, bro, he's gone. He's in New Jersey. He's
Yeah,
dead.
he's on
Or
vacation
Delaware. Yeah.
in the deep dark lanes of Delaware.
Yep.
I don't I don't know. Just blame everybody for everything else. It's fine.
And I'm just curious. I wonder how long they're gonna blame Biden for this bad economy, because is it Biden's fault that as soon as he talked about tariffs on Canada, that the market tanked for 2 days in a row? Is that Biden's fault?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Thanks, Joe Brandon. Under the Biden administration, we suffered the worst inflation in 48 years, but perhaps even in the history of our country. They're not sure. Who's they? I'm sick of they. I thought we were getting rid of they thems. So the highest year-over-year inflation rate on Biden's watch was around 9%. And it's been 4 decades since inflation ran that high. I really would like to get an economist on here at some point to properly and concisely explain how the economy works. But the long and short of it is the president is not supposed to have a lot of control over the economy.
And the president's not really supposed to have any control of the economy at all. I mean,
Right. Like
it's supposed to
tariffs.
be.
Tariffs are a
I mean,
thing they can do if like
yeah,
it's necessary, but
but
they're
tariffs are
not.
such an outdated.
Yeah.
Tariffs are such an outdated method of running an economy
Right.
and trying to protect things. It's
Right.
just we're not in the, as much as he wants to be. We're not in the 1800s anymore.
Sure. But even adjusting for inflation and everything like that, using the percentiles of 9% compared to what they were in the 70s and even in the Great Depression, they still weren't the highest numbers. They were high, and here's why: because Trump's first term was so disastrous, it almost tanked the economy. We had COVID going on and everything. Like, no shit, inflation was going to be high. They almost had it under control, and like, people don't realize that, like, eggs are expensive because they had to murder like 100 million birds because they were sick. And guess what? It transfers through the eggs. You can't eat that. So I don't even know. People don't. We were we were listening to we were texting in a group chat the other day, and a friend of ours was in Mexico, and he was talking about some U.S. guy was also there, and he had no idea who Vladimir Putin was, and like wasn't even sure about the whole Ukraine thing. So I guess I'm not surprised that most
No,
people.
we shouldn't be surprised.
No, most people
Most
also
people just don't pay attention to these things.
most people just don't understand how the economy works or how our government works either. And so, like, I try to want to like give you a little gist of, like, so you learn a little something, but it's so complicated and stupid. We've spent perhaps 350 billion, like taking candy from a baby, on Ukraine.
That's a lie. It's not even half of that.
Nope, it's 175 billion to 185 billion.
Okay, it's more than half
It's
of that,
a
but
little more
still.
than half. So, um, also you can look up those figures because they're
Yeah, you can. Those figures are easily available
yep.
online. I mean, the
When
the notion.
Congress says this money is for something, they have to document all of that. That's your money. And believe it or not, at one point the federal government wanted to do right by you. But so these mechanisms are still in place for you to find all of this information yourself, and don't try to call it fake news when it's a bunch of Republican congressmen and senators doing it.
But it's fake news.
It's, oh, not here at National Peasant Radio. Mexico and Canada have allowed so that fentanyl is obviously a bad thing. We don't want people to do super hard drugs. Maybe once in a great while if you're feeling squirrely. But so what he said is Mexico and Canada have allowed fentanyl to come into our country at levels never seen before, killing hundreds of thousands of our citizens. So it is true. It does come from Mexico, um, but
It
it's
it
made
it hardly comes from Canada. I mean, but
no.
it's if there wasn't such a demand for it here. Like
Oh yeah.
look, I'm not trying to blame the people doing it, but if we had any sort of, I guess, support systems in place for these people, they wouldn't be creating such a demand.
A lot of European countries in the early 2000s were having drug problems, like as bad, if not worse, than the United States. And what they did
Probably
is
worse considering the difference in population.
exactly, and they changed the way their criminal justice system worked. And instead of jailing drug users, they sent them to hospitals. And instead of giving corrupt bankers bailouts, they sent them to prison. And now the happiness rate in those countries is so high. I don't get it. What's the happiness rate here? I'm gonna Google that. What do you think it is?
I don't know.
Happiness rate in America. It literally
Numbers.
woof. U.S. hits new low in world happiness reports. we fell from we fell to 23 in 2024. You
From
hate to
what?
see it. From 15.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think we were top 10 ever.
We were 19 in 2021, 16 in 2022 because people had to go to work a lot less, 15 in 2023, and 23 in 2024. Who's the happiest
Thanks,
country?
Joe Biden.
Yeah, thanks, Joe Brandon. Uh, Finland. Yep. Finland, Denmark, Iceland, Sweden, Israel. Surprising.
Gee, I wonder why.
Netherlands, Norway, Luxembourg, Switzerland, Australia, New Zealand, Costa Rica. Nice. Kuwait? Huh.
Yeah, you
Austria?
don't hear about Kuwait, bro. They're
No.
they're just living their best life, moisturized in their lane.
It's like United Arab Emirates with all the airs on.
I don't know.
Uh, Austria, Canada, Belgium, Ireland, Czechia. Okay, what is Czechia? Do they?
You know, that's it's over there in the Eastern Bloc, over in
Okay, there's
by
Lithuania. I know that one.
like Bosnia and Herzegovina and all
Oh,
them
okay.
in
UK,
that area.
Slovenia. I know that one. There's United Arab Emirates, and then us are behind them, and then
Wow,
Germany and Mexico. I'm surprised Germany's behind us.
that's because Germans just aren't happy people in
Oh,
general.
that's right. You're right. I know I'm married to one. No, she's great.
Hmm.
Let's see. So yeah, you had already mentioned that there's like nothing coming in from Canada, and it was something like there were 22,000 pounds of fentanyl across U.S. borders last year. 43 pounds of it was from Canada. Remember that meme of the like cops with a bust where they had like five $1 bills like all fanned out, like one little gun and like one little dime bag of weed, and they were just standing there like, yeah, that's like the Canada fentanyl bust. Fentanyl overdose numbers have actually been dropping since 2023, and that is by and large in part efforts by not only like citizen action groups and actually the Joe Brandon administration, and oddly enough CVS making Narcan super available, so you can essentially just go there and request it and buy it. I think you do go on a special list, but like who gives a shit if you're going to save somebody's life. What Narcan is if somebody's overdosing on fentanyl, heroin, that sort of thing, it is a nasal spray that will hopefully bring you out of the overdose. The problem is so much fentanyl is so strong now that even multiple hits of Narcan aren't bringing people out of overdoses. So it is a really serious problem, and like I said, in all these much happier countries over in the Scandinavia area, they're not drug addicts, they're patients, and I think if that's what we switch to in this country, we would have a lot better time dealing with drugs. And I don't think we'd have prisons that were full either. But again, the whole system is baked in racism and Puritan values. Yeah, also that the profitable prison aspects are insane. And I worked in the prison system for a decade, so it's gross. The Paris Accord cost us trillions of dollars. It wasn't. It cost 2.5 billion. I'm sorry.
I think what he's implying by it costs us trillions is that it's I guess by signing on to the Paris Agreement, or the Paris Climate Accords, we basically have to limit the production and shit that as far as our industry, I guess. That's
Right.
the only thing I can think of.
Right. And so
But I don't think he really thought that far ahead. He just threw out a number.
there is an estimated cost to this whole thing, and it is about $3 trillion, but it's from a long 20. Oh, it doesn't actually say. It's projected to be 3 trillion by 2040. So this guy just is like, hey, I just saved us $3 trillion. No bigs.
But hey, he just cut 4 point some trillion in taxes for everybody else.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Money's just
So like this is the guy who's like, I could get a 6-pack of beer on the way home from work, but like I think I'm gonna tell my wife I saved her $6. Oh my, so this was the one that really caught me. Now, for the first time in modern history, more Americans believe that our country is headed in the right direction than the wrong direction. Your polling numbers say very different. The
wrong,
false, fired,
fake news.
Fake news. Finally, we get to use it on them. The idea, he's polling at about 44% the last I checked, but I think they've dropped a little bit since then. And
which is wild because I think that's even lower than was it Nixon?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no. Well, and honestly, presidents their polling numbers have just been trending down over the years, anyways, because politicians are slimy greaseballs.
Always have been.
Always have been. Teddy Roosevelt seemed like he might have been okay. I don't know. Never met him. Maybe someday.
I mean,
go ahead.
I feel like at some point politicians maybe start with the notion that they want to help people, but I think that if you want to be in a position of power like that, you're probably not the best option for that.
Yeah, that is a fact. So now we're going to talk about my favorite guy. It's Twitter Guy. Oh, he's doing his favorite emote. What do they call that? I know what it looks like.
The Roman. He's doing a Roman salute.
Oh, that's not what I think it is. So Tesla owners are rightfully getting what they deserve for buying a bad vehicle. And it also just happens to be made by Elon Musk. He let his grandnephew FDR marry his cousin. I see. No, that just seems better to me. That's a win. Anywho, um, so these stickers are getting bought left and right. I actually saw this on the like video game news website, and I was just like, well, that's funny. Everybody knows now. So Tesla sales are down 72% since Doge started, which is insane, but not really surprising, I guess. Like, you got to call a spade, and this guy did two Nazi salutes, one Nazi salute, at least
I
one.
think
Not,
he's done a few.
yeah,
I think he did it at. I think he did it twice during the
he
inauguration,
did it twice at the inauguration for sure.
and then I think he did it again at CPAC.
That would make sense. Where he also met with like the AFD, and he is a huge fan of them. And if you don't know who the AFD is, if you go to easyvotend.com/media, there's a good video explaining why Elon Musk is a white supremacist and definitely wants there to be a new Nazi party. Oh yeah, Cybertrucks are gross. I finally saw one. It was on Christmas Eve of last year. It was
I'm
disgusting.
sorry.
Oh, it was horrible. I was finally out. And so a bunch of people are selling their Teslas. That's fine. You and me talk cars sometimes. Maybe we should do a car show sometime. That would be funny. And we could just shit on Teslas the whole time because they're horrible.
Share our shit
They're
boxes.
horrible. They're not a good vehicle. Like,
No, they
Elon
aren't.
Musk aside, like, don't get me wrong. I think Starlink is a cool product because it does work. Again, he didn't design any of that. He just bought a company, put his name on it. But like, if it was a good product, like, that'd be cool. But like, it's not. They're trash. So sales for those are
I
down.
think the very first Tesla that they came out with, the Roadster or whatever the fuck.
Oh
I
yeah.
think that was like their, you know, their only decent product. After that, it's all just gone downhill. They cut corners so
Well, I don't
much.
even, and I like their naming like, okay, first of all, vehicle naming conventions are stupid anyways, but like theirs are extra stupid because like, what do you got, the plaid edition? Like, dude, I don't give a fuck. I don't know.
The what?
Yeah, because there's like plaid editions and like, hang on, it's like a model. Oh fuck, Model 3 plaid. Yeah. The Model 3 Plaid is the rumored version of a Tesla Model 3 that would have a 3 carbon sleeve motors and a lot of power. That's what your AI overview from Google. That's probably wrong. So it's like the Model S Plaid got a top speed of 200 miles an hour. And holy shit, does the interior look uncomfortable. Ugh. Anyways,
You know, I don't think I've ever ridden in one.
I definitely haven't. Now that you mention,
I
I'm
don't.
poor.
And
I don't know anybody rich enough to own a Tesla.
they're all over the place here. You
Yeah,
know, this is a wannabe Silicon Valley in a lot of
oh,
aspects. So you
sure.
have a lot of people driving around with stuff like that. You see Rivians, you see Teslas all over the place. I've seen many
Now, if
Cybertrucks.
you want a good electric vehicle, a Rivian is a great place to start. They are expensive though. Also,
Yeah, I think
the headlights look like
actually,
trash,
yeah, they do. I hate that.
but they are a
But
good vehicle.
Volkswagen is rolling out a pretty nice looking little, like, I think it's a hatchback that's going to be a fully electric. And actually, Volkswagen has overtaken Tesla in Germany as the number one electric manufacturer now.
And so that's actually something else I wanted to bring up as part of this conversation is that China's EVs are actually like super advanced, like way more advanced than what we're doing here because
And they're cheap.
the cost is crazy low. And so like if there weren't tariffs on vehicles and things coming from China, you could be buying an electric vehicle for like $8,000. Like, and like a full real vehicle that works. It is not crap. They work. It's what they all use over there. And so the reason
I don't think it's quite that low, but the cost margin compared to a Tesla is
well, you'd
not
have
even.
obviously you have to pay
But
for like shipping and duties and fees, but like
well,
if
if they open dealerships here, I mean, I'm sure people would start, of
and that's the
course,
exact thing,
piggybacking
but
on that.
they won't because why would you pay more this, you know, basically the same price for a Chinese vehicle that's now, you know, $60,000 when you could go get a Tesla.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they want with the tariffs. Is they say it's like, well, you got to buy American. And it's like, well, there isn't that much American, and I really don't want a
Mm-mm.
Tesla, and I guess I'll buy a Nissan Leaf. So they're okay. I don't like Nissans unless it's a GTR. So I just want to go back to this screen one more time because Elon Musk wishes he was a Nazi.
I think he wishes. I mean, I think the only aspect that he's missing is making good cars.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. And he sure couldn't make the Hyperloop run on time.
Mm-mm.
Alrighty, so here I've finally got some good news. I had some good news a couple weeks ago, but that show was scuffed. Um, Basically, there is a transgender lawmaker in Montana by the name of Zoe Zephyr, and she's awesome. And she was able to flip 13 Republicans to defeat anti-LGBTQIA plus bills, and I think that's awesome. Um, you and me disagree a little bit when it comes to like convincing people and winning hearts and minds, and there's definitely merit to both sides. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say one side's better than the other, but she was definitely one of the um, advocates of just being a nice, good person to these people, no matter what. And they finally listened, and not all of them, obviously, but you're never going to convince everybody. And
Right. You're never gonna convince everybody. I mean, you gotta do what you can, but at the same time, it's like if somebody's so closed off that they're not willing to work with you on anything, then I mean, what else is there for you to do?
yeah, and it's and the way she was able to convince them was that like this is just a colossal waste of time, and it is. Like, let's see if I can find it. They actually had. There are so many of these anti-trans bills, um, in basically every red state right now, and they were talking. Texas has the most. Obviously North Dakota has a
Not
few.
surprised Texas has the most.
Now, yeah, surprise, surprise. We'll talk about that piece of shit Greg Abbott in I think the next story. Um, 696 bills currently under consideration across 49 states that would negatively impact trans and gender nonconforming people. Texas state with the most anti-trans positive initiatives with 97 active bills, followed by Missouri, West Virginia, Oklahoma, Iowa, and Connecticut. Oh, that's surprising. Oh no, there are a lot of rich fucks that live up there. So
Hmm.
far this year, 18 bills have been passed, which follows an unprecedented 87 in 2024. That's really sad. And there's a trans legislative tracker here. I'm going to have to bookmark that. At the
Oh,
federal.
speaking of, this is unrelated, but you missed one fact thing from the state of the shit show address.
Mhm.
There was something he said about they were spending $8 million on trans mice.
Oh, right. What was the study actually
The actual
for?
study, what it was, I mean, it wasn't even really like a study. It was like they spent $8 million on transgenic mice, which is genetically modified mice that were being used to test different things.
So he just said transgender.
So he no, not even transgender. He just said trans.
Oh my god. So he lied, but he didn't lie. He lied by omission.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, it's fucking awesome. That All right, all you Jordan Peterson fans, that is exactly the type of stuff that he says fascist leaders and states do. Is twist words like that to make them conform so that they are true, but the meaning of it is not what they want it is not what it really is. So I wanted to talk about a couple of so Zoe Zephyr, she was one of the she's a oh, hang on. I believe she is a Congress person out of Montana, and she's super cool. I promised I would talk about a couple other trans lawmakers out of the Midwest. I'm having trouble with my laptop, and so I wanted to actually do a little story on them, so I'm probably going to prepare that for next week. and then that'll be kind of some homegrown reporting right here from National Peasant Radio. Our next story. Oh, yes, these two pieces of shit. Elon Musk and Texas Governor Greg Abbott celebrate the firing of a worker over the pronouns in their email signature. So, I hate both of these guys. I want to get the exact thing on here because I don't want to misquote him. Greg Abbott was kind of matter of fact about it, which is about the best you can do. The gentleman, I assuming gentleman, but that's neither here nor there. Frank Zamora, 31, was let go from his job at program manager at the Texas Real Estate Commission last month because he refused to comply with a mandate from the organization to employees to remove gender pronouns from their email signatures. I actually anticipated this coming, just because we knew that many changes that were being made at the federal level were being mimicked at the state level, Zamora said. So Abbott, of course, celebrated it on Twitter, saying a Texas state employee refused to remove pronouns from their email signature and they were fired before noon. That's like, you're the governor. Shouldn't there be more important like things you should be attending to?
Yeah, like fixing the infrastructure.
No. It's not like their power goes out whenever it's too cold or too hot or not hot enough or not cold enough.
Not at all.
Or you get a little bit of snow or there's a little bit of rain. It's not like their power just goes off all the time when they critically need it.
What does he do? Doesn't he like run to Mexico or something?
Greg Abbott?
Is that
no. You're thinking of oh shit. He is a Texas guy. He's the one that Trump called his wife fat or ugly, I think. Not Marco Rubio. Oh, that's gonna.
No, Marco Rubio is from Florida.
Yeah, Texas. Oh, he was a presidential candidate. He also looks funny like JD Vance. Texas Senator. I can't type in. Ted Cruz. Thank you, Tommy. This is why you should have been on the show. Ted Cruz. No, Ted Cruz is the one every time there's a hurricane, he's like, well, I'm off to Cancun. Like, you could time your watch by it. You set your watch by it. Every freaking time. Ooh, there's a little problem in Texas. I gotta go, guys. Sorry.
All right, I'm out.
You're on your own. Pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. Yes, Ted Cruz, that funny looking fella. Anyways, I want to know what did fucking Twitter guy say about this?
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, who cares? But also,
but this thing is like, people voted for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump installed this guy. Like, he literally said during his address to Congress, like, no more unelected bureaucrats. That's literally your whole thing right now.
That's literally what he's got in the office right now, and this guy is over here fucking blowing rockets up and getting away with it.
So this is what the email from this guy's boss was, and it says, the new template is attached. Please look at your signature and make sure yours complies. I understand this change may have an impact on employees, and I am sensitive to that. The governor, however, has directed the agency to act, and so we will. And, like, he's not doing anything, like, it's not criminal, it's just shitty. Like, the guy's like, I'm just following orders. Like, doesn't work. If it's illegal, this isn't illegal, it's just super shitty. The firing might be illegal. That's yet to be determined. What do you think? Do you think anything's going to come out of this where we're going to see a bunch of lawsuits about people who lost their jobs over DEI? Do you think we'll see actual discrimination lawsuits about that?
I mean, I'm sure there's already ongoing lawsuits for people that have lost their jobs, but I don't think anybody's tried to run it from a DEI standpoint yet, or discrimination just yet.
Yeah. And so he said he chose to, and I like this because he chose to keep the pronouns and refused to resign. He was then fired in the first week of February. I like that. He stood up for what he believed in. Like, no, fuck you. I'm not going to resign. I'm going to make you fire me. And I don't know in what state they would deny your unemployment benefits for that, because that seems like, I don't know.
Yeah, but the government's a piece of shit, so he's probably gonna deny them
Yeah,
anyways.
that's true. Let's see. He added. So this is what the fella said. Pronouns are grammar. They're a function of almost every sentence that we speak. Their origins go back to Old English in the Vikings. However, we have chosen to make them a politicized topic and a hot button issue. I felt that this order was strictly passed down to appease a certain political movement, and that it was strictly done essentially to win a culture war. And I do not believe that the LGBTQ plus community, trans individuals, non binary, intersex, or any individuals who choose to display their preferred pronouns deserve to be made political collateral or be put on a chopping block. And I think that's a really smart and concise way to put it. Oh, where's Twitter man? Where's Twitter man? Elon. And he showed support by who knows? Liking the post probably.
Yeah, probably. That's all he does. Is when he's
Oh no, he
that's what his job consists of now.
let's see. Oh, it said he replied to it. Huh. Well, it doesn't say what he said. It was probably
Tommy,
something.
pull up the tweet.
No, you don't have to do that. We're gonna move. Oh, okay. This next one is fun. I'm excited for this one. Oh my god, it did it on this one too. Bigoted Brewing Company closes. Claims the
Oh,
woke
that thing I
mob
sent
did
you
them
earlier.
in. It was actually just bad beer and a bad attitude. So you actually just were like you sent me the image of their like, hey, this building's closed and you can't remove the sticker because they didn't pay their fucking
They didn't pay their
taxes.
taxes.
Yep.
Yes.
And so I was just like, lol, that's funny. And then I looked at the name and I was like, Armed Forces Brewing Company. I'm like, what is this all about? And so I started looking into it. And they closed because of the woke mob. Um,
Yeah.
but actually, what really happened is they were selling stock like it was a crowdfunding thing, which you can't do. And you can still go to their website. It's fantastic because it says straight on there, like, what do I get for buying stock? And it's like, oh,
Nothing.
if our board members say it's cool, we can give you a dividend, but we don't really have any plans to do that. Which is great. And then they're like, well,
And
do
then
we
this guy on the screen right now was the face of their
and
company or
this is the
whatever. But
face of their company right now. And
was
was and he punched a security guard and called him the N-word, which is great. Just a great guy. Also, he tweeted this, and I'm gonna read it. I don't want to read it, and I'm gonna have to do a description of it for our auditory listeners. But the gentleman's name is Robert J. O'Neill, and he's replying on the Twitter to a group of young male voters that says we're Gen Z voters and we proudly voted for Kamala Harris. Real men support Harris. And Robert J. O'Neill, formerly of the Armed Forces Brewing Company, quote retweeted, "You're not men, you're boys. If there was no social media, you would be my concubines." Thoughts? I don't know what to say to that.
I don't know either, man. That's just that really
It's like really out of pocket.
are these the people that are always talking about being like real men and like not none of that gay shit and whatever else.
See, and that's the thing. I like it's okay. Like we have an openly bisexual president in office now. You can be who you want to be. So, I mean, we know he is because he talks about dicks all of the time. So, you know, it's just really funny that it's like, no, it definitely didn't have anything to do with me saying the N word, punching a black security guard, and then getting arrested for DUI, and then calling a bunch of young dudes on Twitter like telling them they
By
would your
concubines.
concubines. Whoa, whoa. And I like this article. It's on Substack, which I'm not a fan of because they refuse to ban right wing people, but this one seems cool. Losing the face of the company, who was the only real veteran, must have hurt the image of the brand, but O'Neill wasn't done there. So, ooh, it's just gross in every way. Oh, so here's another tweet from somebody. She worked there. She's the advisor, an advisor. So this whole thing was just a scam that they were using to make beer. Another town bites the dust. Springfield, Ohio has been reimagined into a third world Haitian shithole. Hang on, I can bring up the tweet so you know I don't think it's fake news. The millions of illegals in our nation are going to destroy our American way of life. Capitalized. Capitalized. American way of life. TM registered trademark. We have been replaced by this installed admin. None of this is legal or constitutional. Let the third world in. Become the third world. Vote Trump to save America. Whoa, boy. Okay. Lot to unpack there. Let's see. But so they tripled their revenue. Also, I should bring
But we're
up.
still in massive debt.
But we're still in massive debt. And I should have brought up their Facebook page because when he sent me the thing, I was like, I have to look at their Facebook page. And of course, it's like a bunch of AI like nonsense. Hang on, I'm gonna bring it up. Oh, sorry, the camera feed's gonna die for a second.
It's all right. It only stops and catches me looking weird for a few seconds.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. Sorry. All right. So this this image.
Oh my god.
Okay.
What is that?
Sunday goals with your preamble. Oh, I get it. That's your starter beer. You got the cat shot. Can you? I don't know what cat shot is. I was not in the military. Explain to me what cat shot is.
I don't know, bro.
Oh, okay. There's a boat there. I can tell you that much. See, but this look. Okay. See where my mouse is here? This is woke. See, that's a rainbow. The gays own that now. Brewed for us on Military Monday. Okay, it's good. You can remember the Battle of Iwo Jima. That's a good thing. And this is the one when he sent me the thing. I was like, "What? You don't want a grunt double IPA?" And it's just like this is always the same marketing on any military thing ever. Is coming soon to Texas. All right, I don't think it is. And then of course I saw AI art. Of course, it can't be a far right leaning business without having AI art on its Facebook page. And there's an even better one I have to find. It's Abraham Lincoln at a Publix buying Armed Forces Brewery beer. That is one of my favorite images of all time. I'm saving this later. I don't know if it's going to show my directory or not, probably. So we'll save that later. Yeah.
Why are folks laughing and harassing this brand?
This is an NSFW stream now. It sure is. Have you ever had anything? So this was in your neck of the woods, right?
Look, today was literally the first time I heard of this place.
Unfortunate. You should go to a Publix and see if there are any Armed Forces Brewing.
I highly doubt it.
I will literally buy them from you, pay for shipping, and drink them on this stream and live review it.
You mean throw up?
Oh, I do throw up kind of easy, so maybe there's a trash can right there. It'll be fine.
I'd be all right.
So, okay. That's it for the news stories this week. Do you have anything else you want to add for news?
Thought I did, but I forgot.
We can add it later. We can just jump in. There are no rules. There are no rules anymore. You can do whatever you want. You can piss in the street if you want. So
I mean,
we said, so I'm going to go into our homework section of the evening. And so what I wanted to show people what to do is how to find your state legislators. And so we're just in Chrome here and whatever. Oh no,
oh no, your
my
search
browsing
history.
history, it's so scandalous. Anyways, so find my state legislatures. So Common Cause is a really good website that you should use to. It's just really good information. They are left leaning. If you don't want to, support any side, one or another. Sorry, I have to turn off my thingy here. I use a bunch of browser extensions. There we go. So you put your address in here, and it will tell you. I'm not going to put my address
Yeah, don't
in
put
here.
your address in
I'm
there.
not going to put my address in here.
All right, I
But
already know your address.
you know my address. But what I am going to show you is how you find it in North Dakota. Because the second option here is contact my legislatures. So, I got to remember.
Most states will have a page like that.
Yep, correct. And so again, if you use the Common Cause website, it will not only give you the information, but it will also direct you to these kinds of websites as well. This is the one for the North Dakota legislation, and ndlegis.gov. Again, if you can't remember that, you can always go to easyvotend.com. There's a resources tab. I have links for this sort of stuff on there for you to find easily. Where is the thing? No, so constituent view sucks. Don't use them. Okay, so I know how it works for this. North Dakota legislature, North Dakota legislative district map. So this is going to be this is going to be the best way to find your legislative maps. So if you go to home, districts, and then you can pick your districts, pick the city. So we're actually in the wrong thing right now. I'm gonna go back. So we gotta go to districts. We actually have to pick the correct year. So this is an important thing that I want you to know here is that when you go from the ndlegis.gov website, it is just ndlegis.gov/districts DISTRICTS. You got to pick the right year. It's 2025. These are the districts that are now active through 2025 to 2032. Believe it or not, they changed the districts, and I'm going to do a whole thing on what gerrymandering is and how they do that. Let's just say North Dakota had to have these new districts redrawn multiple times because the Supreme Court found that they were unfair and discounted minority votes, specifically Native American votes, in North Dakota. So this is your district map. I know it's a little small on the screen. We'll make it bigger here. That might be too big. Okay, there we go. So I'm in the Bismarck, Mandan, Lincoln area. So we'll click there. So you can pick your city, but obviously if you're in a more rural county, it'll show up on here. You know where you're at, and you can literally from the other page put your zip code in, and it'll take you. I'm just not going to do that. Anyways, so we'll click Bismarck, Mandan. So we're going to look here. Let's say we live. Where do we want to live? Let's say we want to live by Cracker Barrel. That's highly specific to this area, but Cracker Barrel's over here. So you would be in District 47. The number's right there. That's easy enough. If you live in Mandan, most of Mandan is either, I don't know what the number is on that one. I'll have to figure it out. Or 34. That's South Mandan, most of the residential stuff. The Memorial Highway and other things is more business. There isn't much residential there. So, but if you live there and have a problem and you can't find it, let me know. I'll help you find it. Yes, the Cracker Barrelians. So you would be in District 47. So let's find out about District
Back
47.
to Noldos.
North Dakota. So you can just search North Dakota District 47 legislators. Boom. Okay, well, I spelled it wrong because I'm smart. So, boom, right there. District 47, North Dakota Legislative Branch. Here's your representatives if you live at the Cracker Barrel. Congratulations. It's a bunch of white guys. That makes sense if you live at the Cracker Barrel, though.
Yeah, if you live at the crack, if you're a Cracker Barrel, that makes
Now,
sense.
what we had talked about earlier is this is how you find this information, and there's one of these websites for every state, and it's just a Google search away. Look at how fast I found it from not knowing very much, just knowing what website to click on. So these are the people that if you live at Cracker Barrel, you need to contact. These are your representatives. These are the
Probably
people.
not gonna pick up the phone, but just leave a
Yeah,
message.
yeah, no, they will. They pretty much leave their phones off the hook all the time. I don't know about these guys specifically. I don't want to say anything libelous, and who knows, they might be nice people, but you need to let them know, like, hey, how is my Cracker Barrel going to be affected by all these federal funding cuts? Are there still going to be, oddly enough, Pokemon cards at my Cracker Barrel? Which, by the way, you can go get Pokemon cards there. Anyways, so from here, let's say we wanna talk to Mr. Michael Dwyer. Well, look at right there. There's his office number. You can stand outside of his office.
Oh, you can call his cell phone? Hell yeah.
Yeah, you can call his work set. You can call his office number. You can call his cell phone number. You can fax him ASCII photos of Goatsy. Don't do that. Don't do that unless he's like, find out if he's a nice person first. If he's a nice person, don't do it. We don't know. We don't know. He's a college basketball coach. It looks like. Jesus Christ, 32 seasons. Anyways, good for you, dude. Here's his email. That's the easiest way to get in touch with people. And like, again, we've talked about like government oversight and things of that nature, but a lot of these people just aren't checking their emails, and they're leaving their phones off the hook, and they're, just not going into the office and that sort of thing. They're canceling town hall meetings. And these are the sort of things that I figured a Department of Government Efficiency would stop, is making sure, like, hey, you guys need to be reading your emails.
Accountable.
Yeah, you need to be reading your emails from the people who voted from you. You guys need to be showing up to town hall meetings for the people who voted for you. You need to answer their questions.
No,
yeah.
no accountability.
The only way we're going to have accountability, and this is for any politician, I don't care what side of the fence you're on, independent, Republican, far right, actual Nazi, Greenpeace terrorist, email your representative. It's important. The local stuff does affect you. And we used to not be so concerned with the federal government because they weren't really ever taking anything away so drastically. But this is a big deal. Federal programs prop up state programs, and we're going to lose service soon. So you need to call and let your representatives, even if you just want to sit there and email all day, be a keyboard warrior. It will work. They're already feeling the heat. Like even Rand Paul, who's a senator out of Kentucky and also kind of a piece of shit human being too, even he's getting on the news saying like nobody in Kentucky wants tariffs. Yeah, no shit, because they suck. So that's the homework for this week. Is even if you don't send an email or a call, just figure out who your representative is, who represents you at your state level government. And I really wish we could poll people, but like, I'm not gonna lie, I told this the other day, but I told somebody I was reading Martin Luther King Jr.'s book, and they were like, who? I'm like, oh my god, the I Have a Dream guy. And they're like, oh, okay. I'm like, public schools suck now. Oh, good. One of our chat members sent a message to a congresswoman. Good. That's what I like to hear. Everybody should do it. It takes almost no time. Let them know you're unhappy. Let them know you don't like this. Who cares if it's federal or not? Tell them what you're pissed about. That's the only way that we're going to have power back. So if you do you have any other stories, or did you remember the one you wanted to bring up?
Nope.
No. Okay. Well, let's take a break, and we'll come back with some video game stuff. But I want to thank everybody for being here for the political and news part of the show. We are going to be doing this regularly. We'll be live streaming, hopefully every Saturday night. And, obviously, I don't get off work till 9 p.m. on Saturday, and I got out late today because an event went long. And then I wanted to run and get
Oh,
food.
wait. Okay, so earlier, I think it was earlier this week, I saw that there's a proposal, not a proposal, but they're mulling it over in the Trump administration about withdrawing troops from Germany and moving them to Hungary.
Oh, right. So why is that? Tell people why that's hilarious.
It's hilarious because I mean Hungary's a Russian ally in all but name. Like they just so happen to be EU and NATO members, but they're blatantly aligned with Russia.
And so he's the prime minister or president, Viktor Orban, president.
I think it's Prague. I don't even know
At any
honestly.
rate, it's Viktor Orban, another grade A piece of
He's
shit.
prime minister.
Thank you. Another kind of grade A piece of shit. And well, that's good for you, Tommy.
Oh,
I'm gonna leave that one. I'm gonna leave that one for people who were here live. That's pretty good. Anyways, Christ. Anywho, yeah, that is an authoritarian state. If you want to see exactly what they want America to look like, just look at what everything's happening in Hungary, because that's exactly what we're going to in the next few years if this power isn't curbed. That is kind of the one nice thing, though, is the Trump administration has never looked as weak as it does now. His poll numbers are the lowest they've been. He had to rein in Elon Musk. Everybody knows he was lying on Monday. Nobody likes all the federal workers getting fired. It's really hilarious when, like, oh, we had to hire him back, but the Twitter guy lost their emails.
oh
So
no.
we really appreciate anybody who found this and listened to this. And if you liked it, you like what we do, send it to somebody that you know. I really do this to kind of influence my customers and give them something to help them keep updated and knowledgeable on things, and just so I don't have to have these conversations 16 times over the course of the week with somebody. So if you ever have
Right.
any comments or concerns or questions or whatever, we're at Easy Vote North Dakota on YouTube. Our website is easyvotend.com. You can give me a comment if you have an idea for, like, you can write a story for us if you want, and if it's true, we'll read it. So we really just want people to get involved, and I hate to be trite and cliche, but like sharing stuff around and talking to people does help. So even if you are an introverted person, you can't, like, don't get me wrong, I don't want to pick up the phone and talk to anybody. I'm autistic. I don't like that shit. Like, send an email.
Just
That's
email
cool.
them, it's fine.
What's that?
Just email them, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Or like just sharing this with a friend, or like, hey, like, I thought maybe we could learn something. I don't know. But I do really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
if anything, this should be informational to people, about what all is being done. We obviously can't cover everything. We don't have the same resources as like an NPR
Yeah,
or
we're
like
just two guys. Like
we're just two dudes
we're just
who
two
just
dudes
surf
with like
the internet.
regular jobs, and like this is the time where like democracy is at stake, like legitimately. And everybody's got to get together and do something. That's why we have a homework section. Everybody's got to do something. So that's why I'm saying find out who your representative is. If you can at least do that, I would be a happy person. Because then once you might start seeing news articles where you see the name and be like, oh shit, is that the piece of shit who actually comes from my district? He started this law? And that's the kind of stuff you're going to learn, unfortunately. So the podcast is Crying is a Free Action. This has been part one, the politics and news section of it. We're going to come back with just a tiny tish of video game news, a tiny tish of what we've been playing, and we haven't even discussed what we're going to stream tonight, but we're making good time, so we can figure it out. So we're gonna
I
take a
see,
quick.
I see Tommy playing Monster Hunter, so
Oh, I think it's gonna be
I
Monster Hunter.
petition Monster Hunter.
I think it's gonna be Monster Hunter. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. This is where we'll cut for the news and podcast. Thank you for joining us. Well, we'll be here again same time next week. We'll be on YouTube, Easy Vote ND North Dakota. Find us at easyvotend.com. I'll have some posts coming up on some cool things. Hopefully I'll have one tomorrow and then one later in the week for sure. So check it out, pass it to your friends. If you see this and you like it, if you probably know me personally, hi, if you're seeing this and if you thought it was cool, send it to somebody who also probably knows me personally. I would be totally cool with that. So, we're gonna go. Hang on, I have to go back to this real quick before we cut out. Yeah, that's just delightful.
You should just leave that as a background while we're on intermission.
I can do that. I'm gonna do that. Let's do that. All right. So we're gonna leave now. We're taking a break. We'll be right back. See you then.